The Court of Justice by William Shakespeare. Summary. The Court of Justice unfolds in fair Venice, where Antonio, a wealthy merchant, borrows money from Shylock, a Jewish moneylender, to assist his friend Bassanio. The loan's bond stipulates a pound of Antonio's flesh as collateral. When Antonio fails to repay, Shylock demands his bond in a courtroom trial, presided over by the Duke. Portia, disguised as a learned legal expert, intervenes to defend Antonio. Employing wit and wisdom, she exposes Shylock's merciless intent. The trial reaches its climax as Portia argues for mercy, emphasizing the consequences of enforcing such a harsh bond. Ultimately, Shylock is defeated, forced to renounce his claim and convert to Christianity. The play explores themes of mercy, justice, and the consequences of prejudice in a compelling courtroom drama. About the author. William Shakespeare, 1564–1616, is considered one of the greatest poets and playwrights of all time. He wrote about 38 plays and 154 sonnets. Shakespeare's plays remain highly popular today and are studied, performed, and reinterpreted in different cultural and political contexts throughout the world. Some of his other widely performed plays are Macbeth, Hamlet, and Romeo and Juliet. Brief introduction about the characters. Antonio, the title character. Antonio is a wealthy but sad older merchant who claims never to have borrowed money but is willing to lend to friends, especially Bassanio, without benefit of interest. Bassanio, a young man with expensive tastes and rich friends who borrows money from Antonio in order to court the rich, intelligent, and beautiful Portia. Portia, widely pursued noblewoman who is as intelligent as she is rich and beautiful. Her father's will demands that her husband be selected through a test involving 3 caskets, one of gold, one of silver, and one of lead. Portia's mind allows her to find loopholes in legal matters, thus rescuing her new husband's friend from his bond. The Duke of Venice, the reigning official of Venice, who presides over the court where Shylock intends to collect money based on his bond. Shylock, the Jewish merchant of Venice, from whom Antonio borrows the money on his friend Bassanio's behalf. Clever and quick, Shylock is all at once a dark humorist, a moral absolutist, a religious bigot, an ogre, and, surprisingly, a sentimentalist. He serves as both the villain and the most tragic figure of the play. Nerissa, Portia's maid. Question 1. Read the extracts and answer the questions. Extract 1. The quality of mercy is not strained against the merchant there. Page 123. Question 1. Who said these words to whom? Answer. Portia said these words to Shylock. Question 2. What, according to the speaker, are the qualities of mercy? Answer. Portia compares mercy to gentle rain. It benefits both the person who receives it and the person who delivers it. She points out that mercy and forgiveness are godly characteristics and make the earthly king more powerful and well-loved than his crown. When justice is accompanied with mercy and compassion, the souls of both the giver and the receiver are redeemed. Question 3. What did the listener do? Answer. Shylock rudely refused to be compassionate and declared that he would ensure that Antonio's debt was repaid according to the terms laid out in the contract. Question 4. What does Portia say when Shylock asks why he must show mercy? Does Shylock change his mind listening to her speech? What does he do? Answer. Portia says that Shylock must be merciful. When Shylock asks why he must show mercy, Portia responds by saying that the quality of mercy is not strained, but is a blessing to both those who provide and receive it. She says showing mercy is more important than the law itself. Shylock brushes aside her speech, however, by demanding for justice and revenge as his only aim is to see Antonio dead. Extract 2. Therefore, prepare now to cut off the flesh. Are you truly trapped? Page 128. Question 1. Who is the second Daniel? Why is he / she called so? Answer. Portia is the second Daniel. Shylock had used this term to hail Portia's superior skills of judgment, when he granted that Shylock's demand to cut off a pound of flesh from Antonio's chest was legally permitted. Gratiano uses the term when Portia said that Shylock would lose his life and all his property if he shed a single drop of Antonio's blood. She had pointed out that there was no provision for any drop of blood in Shylock's bond. Question 2. What were the terms laid down in the bond between Shylock and Antonio? Answer. The terms laid down in the bond stated that if Antonio was unable to repay the entire amount that he had borrowed from Shylock within a stipulated period of time, Shylock would carve out a pound of flesh from Antonio's chest. Question 3. Does Portia agree to Shylock's offer of accepting 3 times the bond? What does she want him to do instead? Answer. Portia does not accept his offer since he has already refused to take the amount from Antonio earlier. She says that he is entitled to do nothing but take a pound of flesh from Antonio without spilling a drop of blood. Appreciating the text. Question A. What was the farewell message of Antonio to Bassanio? Answer. Antonio bade farewell to Bassanio by telling him to convey his good wishes to his wife Portia and remember him as a true friend who did not regret borrowing money from Shylock to help Bassanio out. He assured Bassanio that he was well prepared to meet his fate and reflected on the advantages of dying when youthful and strong instead of dying of sickness, pain, and suffering in old age. He also requested Bassanio to tell the tale of his friendship with Antonio and remember him fondly after his death. He is completely unperturbed by Shylock's attempts to harm him and declared that he was not afraid to die in order to repay Bassanio's debt. Question B. What does Shylock's bond specify about the pound of flesh and how does Portia make use of it to prove her point? Answer. The bond stipulates that only a pound of flesh could be taken from Antonio, and makes no mention of blood. So Portia urges Shylock to continue collecting his pound of flesh, but reminds him that if a drop of blood is spilt, his lands and goods will be confiscated by the state. She also states that he cannot collect less or more than a pound. Question C. How do you know Portia's intention initially was to save Antonio and not punish Shylock? Answer. Portia acknowledges the bond but appeals to Shylock with her speech on the quality of mercy. When he refuses, Portia says the law must be upheld but asks him to reconsider mercy. She proceeds further only when he insists on carrying on with his demand. Question D. Why is the trial scene the most important in the play Merchant of Venice? Answer. It is the most crucial point in the play because it is the turning point in the story. Also, the scene brings to the culmination the events of the play. It also brings out the characters of Bassanio, Portia, Antonio, and Shylock. It also brings to light the actual intention of Shylock, which is revenge. The same scene shows a change in the character of Shylock towards the end. Question E. Would you call it a fair trial in the court of justice? Or, do you think Portia's argument was not lawful? Explain. Answer. Portia follows the rules of law books and focuses on the conditions put forth in the bond. She even suggests to Shylock that he could have a surgeon by Antonio's side to stop him from bleeding to death. But Shylock refuses to do so. He has failed to think of the consequences. As the sentence comes down, Portia reveals the loopholes in the law. Not a drop of blood may be spilt with the taking of the pound of flesh, and precisely a pound of flesh may be taken, no more or less failing, which all his possessions would be confiscated by the state of Venice. When Shylock withdraws, trying to take the payment rather than the bond, Portia shows no mercy. Question F. Does the court grant justice in the end? Is it well deserved? Answer. The court's justice in the end is a fair one. Shylock demands a pound of flesh from nearest Antonio's heart should he fail to repay the money to Shylock. Antonio does fail to repay. However, at court his friend Bassanio offers 3 or 10 times the amount to settle the issue, but Shylock appears to have other motives than a peaceful settlement. In this situation, the court says that he could take the flesh, but no drop of blood is to be shed. This turns out to be an intelligent judgment, but a tricky one. It is an impossible task and Shylock loses. When he then asks for the money that was offered earlier, he is denied as he had lost his chance to claim it. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more updates.